And the little subheading under fractions, because I know you got gobs and notes under fractions, is multiplying by whole numbers. By whole numbers, which can help if I spell whole right. Whole numbers. And again, let me tell you for the 16th or 17th time, anytime in math, just keep this in mind, if you see the word of in math, it means multiply. And the other thing to remember, although we won't do a lot of this, is that, you know, when we do normal multiplication, like 3 times 4, do not forget multiplication is just a quick way to do addition. 3 times 4, you know, means that I have 3 or 4 3's added together. We know that 3 times 4 is 12, but that's because 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. So the same rule applies with fractions. Let's say that I have, let's clone this bad boy. Let's say my problem is, where's that clone there? Oh, that wasn't, where did it go? Let's say that I have, someday I'll get this. Sorry. No, my board is off a little, that's the deal. Let's say that my problem is 1/8 times 5. You wouldn't want to do this, but one way to do that is simply to take 5 of these 1/8s and add them together. Which you probably could do. Oh boy. Don't worry, I got it. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4? 5. If you added 5 1/8s together, blah, 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 you get 5/8.
Yeah.
Now you could write it like this, 1/8, 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. Just remember, you know, when you add these together, the bottom number stays the same and the top number the same. Now, you don't want to have to do that, do you, David? Because that takes a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And you certainly want to do that. What is option number 2?
Multiply.
Right, just like with this, we could just multiply those 2 numbers together. But how do I multiply this fraction times a 5? We've multiplied fractions together, right?
Yeah.
Remember when we take normal fractions, let's say you had 1/3 times 1/2. Remember the rule is you just multiply across, right? You get 1/6. So what do I do with this 5 because it's not a fraction? How do I multiply a fraction by a whole number? I need to, Grayson? Oh, Grayson changed his mind. David?
Multiply the whole number by the top number of the fraction.
Well, you're getting close. Before you do that, though,
Change.
okay,
You have to put a 100.
right, you need to make, this is the important part, make the whole number a fraction by putting a 100. Apparently I'm running out of room here. That's some good note taking right there, isn't it? Which means this, I have 1/8, I'm going to multiply it by 5, but I need to make 5 a fraction by putting a 100. Don't make it 5/5. Why wouldn't I put a 500? Because 5/5 is the same as 1, and I don't have 1, I have 5. So when you multiply across here, 1 times 5 is 5, and 8 times 1 is 8. And you don't have to sit there and add all these fractions together. You can just make that whole number a fraction by doing that. So here are some examples here, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, you got to always simplify your fractions. Let's do a couple of these. Let's say I have 3/5 let's say I have 3/5 times 2. What are you going to do? You're going to make 2 a fraction by putting it over 1. So you have 3/5 times 2 over 1. You are going to multiply across. 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 1 is 5. And unfortunately, you cannot leave that answer because it's improper. So in math, we call that, we have to simplify it. How do I simplify that? Well, if, this is fine if you can kind of do this in your head, 5 goes into 5, 6, 1 whole time with 1 left over. If you are not quite at that stage yet, you are going to have to make this a division problem. You're taking 6 and dividing it into 5. How many times is 5 going to 6? 1 whole time. Your leftover becomes the top of the fraction with this on the bottom. 1 and 1/5. It's all about kind of where you're at. How about this one? Well, let's do this. 2/3 of 5. And that's where that little note I had you jot down there. Don't let the word of confuse you, because of simply means you are multiplying.
I thought you already told us.
I will tell you that 1,000 times between now and the end of your mathematical life here. I made 5 a fraction by putting it over 1. You multiply across and you end up with 10 over 3. I can't leave it as 10 over 3. I have to do my division problem out here. I do. How many times is 3 going to 10? 3 whole times. What do I do with my 1 that's left over? You can't leave them as remainders. When you're dealing with fractions, you have to make it a fraction. My fraction is
300.
You think you got it? Yeah, I'm sure you probably